and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to make the Bobble shell stitch border. This is part of my Autumn Rhapsody stitch tutorial series. That is a free blanket crochet pattern that you can find on my website. I will have a link to the details for that blanket if you're interested. I will also have a link below in the description for the written instructions for how to do this border. So this border can be used on a lot of different projects. I think it would be especially nice for blankets. It is a very simple yet elegant way to end your blanket. It has just a bit of a bobble texture to it. I would say it's kind of like a mini bobble on the edge of your blanket. So it's very pretty, yet very simple. For today's tutorial, I went ahead and made this square using leftover bits of yarn from the blanket. So what you're seeing here is Paint Box Cotton Aran yarn, and I made this square using the sedge stitch. That was another stitch that was in my blanket and has turned into one of my favorite new stitches. I do have a video tutorial and written instructions for that stitch as well. And you can find a link below in the description if you're interested in learning more about this great stitch. So essentially, this edging is worked from the wrong side of your project. And I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn. I'm going to be using a Clover crochet hook, size H 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. And that is what gets us that texture because the wrong side of that stitch is what has all of the effect. So this is the right side of my work. I'm going to make a choice. If you have a project that is not definitively right or wrong side, you need to choose which side you want to be your right side, and then you're going to be working on the wrong side of your project. So this is the right side. I went ahead and did one round of single crochet evenly around the outside. I would suggest that if you're using this for other projects, to go ahead and have a simple border first before you go ahead and start this stitch. I think that you're going to be much happier with it if you're not trying to work into the edges of your blanket. And I have found doing this that I like starting after a corner. So just after the corner here, I'm going to attach my yarn, again working on the wrong side of my project with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then double crochet in that same stitch. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And now comes my bobble stitch. And my bobble is worked with a yarn over, inserting my hook into the next stitch, yarning over and pulling up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I want to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops only. That will leave me 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over and then insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. I now have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 4, and that's creating my bobble. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, bobble in the next, yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4, slip stitch in the next. So let's take a look at that. So you can see from this side, it doesn't really have a big wow factor. It's pretty, but it's really not spectacular. But what happens when you turn back over to the right side of your work, by working those bobbles and then the slip stitch right after, it pushes these stitches out, creating this mini bobble shell stitch. And it is really pretty from the other side of your work. So that is your repeat. Bobble in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next, working that down to your corner. So bobble in the next, slip stitch in the next, bobble in the next, slip stitch in the next. So continue working that same sequence, bobble, slip stitch to your corner. Once we get to the corner, I'm going to work a bobble, a slip stitch, and a bobble in the corner space in order to turn that corner. So in that corner space, I'm going to work a bobble, a slip stitch in the same space, and a bobble in the same space. So it'll be kind of tight, but you can get it. And then slip stitch in the next stitch. Now I am going to change colors. You don't have to do this. I am showing you how to do this because this is how I did the border for my Autumn Rhapsody blanket. So on that next slip stitch, because you're going to start out that side with the slip stitch, I'm going to change colors with that slip stitch and finish that slip stitch with that new color. And then pull it through. And then the next stitch is a bobble. And just continue on with that same stitch sequence with your new color. So bobble, slip stitch, bobble, slip stitch, bobble, slip stitch, bobble, slip stitch. So just continue working around your project, working that same sequence, bobble, slip stitch, working a bobble, slip stitch, and bobble in each corner space, changing colors if you would like. Once we get to the end, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to that first stitch, fasten off, and now we can see here, this is the right side of our work, and look how those bobbles just give an extra little bit of texture to this project. A great way to finish so many different projects. I hope you found this tutorial helpful today. Thanks so much for being with me. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. You can always find me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. And reach out to me, and I am happy to help if you have any questions about any of my patterns. If you share any of my patterns on social media that you've made, remember to hashtag Nana's Crafty Home so that I can see your beautiful work. As always, take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.